everyone. I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. Today, we are talking about something that's very dear to my heart that I strongly identify with because I experience it constantly. And this is light language. And I use it a lot, whether with my clients or with myself or in my daily life. So light language is the language of the soul. The problem is that many people think that this is gibberish because they're not used to it, and I totally understand that. But today in this video, I'm going to try and explain to you what light language is, what are the different definitions of light language are, and why is it that this happens, right? And can everybody speak it, or is it only for a chosen few or a select few? So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Before we go into it, though, I want to tell you about something I heard very, very recently, that there was an experiment, I think, that was done by Microsoft, a study on human DNA. And they've converted the human DNA, the coding of the human DNA, into ones and zeros to check our capacity to store data. And they found that the human DNA has the ability to store 13.5 billion years worth of data. And the universe, according to some scientific studies, is estimated to be 13.5 billion years old, which is like miraculous. So what more proof do you need that we are the universe experiencing itself? We carry that universe within us, and we are an expression of it at the same time. So this goes to show the greatness of our being and the amazing souls that we are, the amazing light beings that we are. We are made of 99.9% light. That's what our cells are made of. And therefore, when we speak light language, we are expressing the language of our soul. We are expressing pure consciousness, putting that into words, into syllables, words that are not understood by the intellect or logic, because they are sacred vowels. They are sacred syllables that bypass this logic and analysis and the tendencies of the intellectual, logical mind to want to understand and identify and label. As Michael Merdad puts it beautifully, he says that if a picture is worth 1,000 words and a sound is worth 1,000,000 words, a sound is worth 1,000,000 words. And this is really, really beautiful. And it's so true when it comes to light language. So for you to understand how the bigger picture works, first of all, if you look at how we are made, what we are made from, right? We start, let's say, with God, pure light, pure consciousness. And as that light descends to become a 3D reality, it goes through different phases, different stages. So first there is beingness, isness, pure consciousness, pure light, descending down to vibration. And then that descends down to sound. And then that becomes color. And then color becomes form, which is 3D. So similarly, you can think of it as the spectrum of light, starting with ultraviolet and going down to infrared. You can think of it as the musical key, the notes, which start from do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, but backwards, with si being those high frequencies and do being the more dense 3D form that we are. So if we want to speak of resemblance. So this is why when you think of light language, you cannot really think of words that have been created by humans to label things, to label objects, to label different beings, different kinds of matter, because everything is not finite. Things are not finite. A table is not finite. A tree is not finite. Every object, whether it's moving or it's non-moving, whether we believe it to be alive or not, has different bodies to it, has different vibrations to it. We are a physical body. We have the etheric body. You have the astral body, the mental body. You have the different light bodies and the spiritual bodies. So we are literally not linear. We are multidimensional. And so we have these different phases, these different stages of our ascension, of our expansion, of our awakening, in which we start discovering and tapping into the different bodies that we have, as opposed to only identifying with this physical vessel. So human words that are created by intellect so that we memorize that, okay, this is a couch and that's all there is to it. And you should identify that, and you have a label of it, and you have a picture of it is in your mind. This is very limited and very finite. This is not how higher beings on higher dimensions function. This is not how we used to function when we were more advanced, when humans were more advanced, when there were more advanced beings who were used to communicate. They would communicate with sounds that carried feelings, because they would let the feeling formulate the sound. So many people had names that consisted of maybe vowels, and you find that still among certain tribes, because these vowels are just an expression of the energy, of the feeling that you get, as opposed to mentally, this is called that, memorize it, box it, label it, and that's it. You know, we don't communicate with feeling anymore. We communicate with our minds. We communicate with the intellect, with the logic, with that, with a box almost, as opposed to communicating from the heart. This is why light language is not an intellectual language. And this is why any person who's attempting to intellectually analyze what's being said is literally going to go nowhere, because you're not supposed to be able to understand this with the mind. You're going to understand it with your heart. You're going to understand it on a soul level, because your cells will identify with it. The light in your cells, the light that they're made of, would be able to understand that energy and absorb it. And that's why light language is so effective. It carries packets of information that are condensed. So yes, a sound is worth a million words, because it carries so many words, the energy of so many words put together in only a few sounds, a few vowels, sometimes through a hum or a hymn, sometimes through a song, a chant. So light language is truly an expression of our essence, of our deepest truth. You know, there are some languages that are ancient and that are older, like Arabic, Aramaic, Sanskrit, and Hebrew. And these languages used to resemble what we today speak as light language, because they carried that feeling, they carried that energy. The vowels and the sounds and the words that were expressed were truly stemming from a place of light, from a place of tapping into consciousness. This doesn't mean that Arabic today that is spoken, or Hebrew that is spoken today, is still carrying that energy or has that light language effect. No, because it's been changed, and the way that it's spoken has been changed, and it's no longer coming from the heart and the gut, it's coming from the mind. So the throat is expressing what the mind is telling it to express, as opposed to aligning with the heart and bringing out the expression and the feeling of the heart or the gut with it, because that's where the truth, deeper truth, comes from, that divine spark that's in our hearts. Because after all, if you do not tap into the divine spark in your heart, how do you expect your crown to open, your crown chakra to open wider, to download more divine and spiritual energy, and for you to be able to tap into pure consciousness? That's why when you speak light language, you want to first tap into the light. You want to become one with the light. You want to put that intention and do the allowing, so that you tap into pure consciousness and become one with this light that's coming through, become one with God, with source energy, and just, let God and let go. Let the light do its work. So you focus yourself into the light. You allow the light to go through, to come down through you, and then you let go. You get out of your own way, and you let the sound, your voice, express what's coming through. And it's very, very spontaneous. It's not calculated. It's not prepared in advance. You don't write the words down and then you say them. You don't think of the words and then you say them. Your mind gets out of the way, and it's the light that is channeled through. And this is activated by your heart and also by your gut. Sometimes, if not most of the time, you will feel the words, going up from your gut and through your mouth. That's why we do certain breathing exercises in my workshops. When I help people activate their light language, I make sure to do the right breath work, so that they no longer engage the mind in the process and learn how to tap deeper into their hearts and into their guts. so that these expressions can freely come out and their DNA can be activated. So why don't people nowadays speak light language, right? As I said, because now it's more intellectual conversation. You know, hey, how are you? Hey, what's up? Hey, how are you doing? There's no feeling, there's no energy, there's no engagement. We don't tap into pure light before we talk to one another. Whereas a long time ago, there used to be communion. There you establish a relationship, communion, communication and union through this communication with another being, no matter what that being is, whether it's a tree or a horse or a dog or a thing. So with that relationship, you feel the sound that's being expressed, the light that it's expressing itself as sound through that being, and then you come up with a name for it, you label it. But then we learned, we were conditioned to believe that everything has to have a specific name and label that and place it in your mind, box it in, and that's it. So people nowadays don't speak from the heart. Why? Because we were taught and conditioned to fear the other. We were conditioned to judge the other. We were conditioned to behave from a place of separatedness, separation as opposed to connectedness, as opposed to feeling that the other and I are one, that we are both expressions of source energy, that we are both souls having a human experience. Instead, we're taught to fear, avoid, have defense mechanisms, let the ego do its thing, carry a mask, and express and say what we've been programmed to say. Express and say the way we've been programmed to think. So light language is the total opposite of that. And that's why people, when they undergo an awakening, they start becoming more interested in it. And they allow themselves to feel it. They allow their bodies to express it. And when we talk about light language, we're not only talking about speaking words. Sometimes, like I said, it can be a chant. When it's more angelic, it's more of a chant and syllables and hymns. And you find these like songs coming out of you. You don't sit there and compose the music. You don't sit in your mind and you write these sounds. It just happens. You let them come out and you feel the energy, you feel the vibration. So it's less about the sounds themselves and what they sound like, and it's more about the frequency and the energy that they carry. Light language can be in the form of dance movements. Sometimes if you tap into the light, you close your eyes and you're in total silence, in total stillness, you can find your body starting to move in ways that are not controlled by you. You let the energy move you. So this is also the way the body expresses itself through movement, through dance, is also light language. So, when yoga was first channeled, because yes, yoga was channeled, these movements were very spontaneous, and then they became synchronized and they became taught as these synchronized asanas and practices that are done today in very specific ways. Hand mudras were channeled. Nobody knew what hand mudras were before. It was just, they were channeled, and then the energy that they expressed enabled people to know what they are used for. And then eventually these mudras are now known to have specific functions in the body or outside the body or through the body on a different emotional and physical and mental and spiritual levels. So now, even if you tap into light language, let's say your hands may make certain mudras, you may have certain forms, shapes that are formed through your hands. And because you're tapping into pure consciousness, into this light of God, and you're allowing this light to flow through you, then your hands will carry, your hand movements will carry that expression, that high frequency, that energy. And it'll be so healing and so effective, and it will do exactly what you would desire it to do, the intention that you put into it. Sometimes you don't put an intention. When you let go, when you be and things just happen, you start doing because you're in that, I'm so in the flow, I'm so in the zone, right? And you let yourself be and you do these movements. You might interpret them later. You might say, oh my God, this happened because of the energy that these movements made, or this is the download I was receiving. That is the message. Sometimes, for example, in a meditation, you might find the energy lifting your arms up and you do a certain shape, and then you understand the message later. because you wait for that message to be channeled. So yes, light language is a form of channeling. It's like speaking in tongues, but it's much more than that. Speaking in tongues has a negative connotation throughout the years. It's been misinterpreted. It's been associated with negative and evil forms. But light language is that which is based on pure light, pure consciousness, a connection with God, and opening up, opening your heart, letting your brain and your mind out of the way so that this light can flow through you and express itself in beautiful, very powerful, and very potent ways. So light language, however, does not always have to be soft and mellow and serene. Sometimes it can be very firm and strong, depending on what's needed. Sometimes when you want someone who has, for example, a victim mentality to be strong, you will find that the language that comes through you is very, very assertive, with very strong quotes that would uplift the other person and make them feel like they are in their power. Sometimes it's really angelic chants that bring in peace to the heart, it brings in peace to the body. When it's physical healing, the certain codes will be like algorithms that will program the body on a DNA level. That's how deep light language can penetrate into your soul, into your cells. So it can have many different uses. It can be a blessing, it can be a prayer, it can be packets of information that are downloads, bringing you information from the cosmos, from different galaxies, from different dimensions, from higher beings, or it can be from the angelic realm, from pure source. So light language is not something that you can learn. It's more of a remembrance, because all this information is in our DNA, right? Because we are made of light. We're an extension of light energy, and we are the light itself. And therefore, what you're doing is that you're just activating what's already within you. Some people call it an ancient language or a futuristic language. But not really. It's an expression of the now moment. Even if you end up speaking, for example, sometimes you would end up speaking Egyptian or the pharaohs, the ancient Egyptian language, the pharaohs' language. That's because what they used to speak were specific sounds and syllables that are imprinted in the DNA, because they have that energy, they have that vibration. They're not like regular words. They're highly energetic words and syllables. Sometimes they might come out of you if you've had lives in that period of time, because their language is not really past or present, it's transcendent. And therefore, when it comes out of you, it is carrying that energy that they used to feel and that they used to be surrounded with. Sometimes you might speak Lyran, you might speak Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan. It doesn't matter, as long as you're aligned with pure source, as long as you're aligned with pure consciousness and pure light. So there are people who might tap into different energies, but that is a choice. You always have to set the intention and put yourself in a state of stillness and love, and have the strong intention from deep within your heart that way you will align with pure light and pure energy. You'll align with God. So I ask people usually to be careful and to assess, the kind of language that they're listening to. And how do you know the difference? You will feel it. Always trust your heart. Your heart will guide you when it comes to this, because light language is not intellectual. It's, as I said, a feeling language. So you will feel if the light language that's being spoken is gibberish or bad, or if it's filled with light. You will feel an expansion when the codes are really carrying that pure consciousness. You'll feel an expansion in your heart. You might feel tingling. You might feel goosebumps. You might feel like a whiff of a cold breeze, or maybe warm air. Your body might heat up. I've seen all sorts of different things with patients, different reactions. But what's amazing about light language is that it speeds things up, because it's the original form of the information, the programming that when you're healing someone, you're trying to reprogram them, or deprogram something that they shouldn't have, right? A program that they're carrying. So light language, because it's so potent and because it carries this information in a very condensed way, is actually the much faster way to heal, or to bring about change, or even to manifest. So I've experienced light language that opened somebody else's third eye. I've experienced light language that helped somebody awaken in ways that they haven't experienced before. You know, somebody couldn't breathe anymore for some time because it was too intense, and then it took a while for their body to adjust, and then they went into pure bliss. I've experienced light language that was healing on a physical level for some. So even light language that helps people manifest in different ways, speeds up the manifestation process, because it removes layers and layers of, you know, programming that's not needed, because it goes deep within. So it bypasses the conscious mind, works on a subconscious and an unconscious level. So everybody can speak light language. Every single person, you know, you have DNA, you're made of DNA, you're made of light, then of course you can express yourself and speak light language. The challenge is how to get yourself out of your own way, how to get rid of that fear of, oh my God, how am I going to look when I'm speaking these codes? If I let go completely, I might do weird things with my face or my lips or my hands, and people are going to judge me for it. Therefore, I shouldn't speak it. You know, we face that, especially I'm in the Middle East, I face that, where people tell me, listen, do not speak your light codes, you know, people don't take this well, they're going to misinterpret it. But this is the truth, you know, the truth is always bound to scare some people, while it might attract many others who are starting to awaken, or who will feel that pull towards the truth, towards pure light, pure consciousness. So this is the reason why in my workshops, let's say when I do workshops for activating people's light language, you can get them to get out of their own way. And that's the real challenge. The codes coming out is the easy part. It's getting people to get out of their minds and into their hearts, to align the heart and the mind, to open up and lose that fear of having to look a certain way and be a certain way, so that you can be accepted by the other, and so that others have the right idea about you and not judge you and not reject you. So when we get out of our own way, you know, focus ourselves into pure light, pure love, align with that source energy, and then we sit back, we allow, we relax, we let the light, you know, come through, be downloaded through us. We become conduits, we become vessels for that light. We let go and let the sound just come out. Let that expression happen so spontaneously on its own. If we want the light language to be dedicated to a specific topic, then we just set the intention beforehand. You know, set the intention beforehand, and then tap into pure consciousness and let the words come out. Of course, you know, with activations and in workshops, this can happen really fast, because you teach people how to, again, you teach people how to free themselves of these limitations, free themselves of these blockages that they impose upon themselves, or that they carry because of trauma, because of past lives, because of conditioning, because of family issues, because, you know, there are 1,000 different reasons why we have so many blockages. So when you start speaking your codes, your vibration automatically rises, because you're no longer bound by these 3D rules and regulations that have been fed into our minds and have become part of our programming. So this is you tapping into the power of existence. So you feel that power within you, you feel that flow, you start tapping into the zone much faster. You start connecting with different dimensions and with higher dimensional beings. You may start tapping into the angelic realm and let the angels come through you. And this happens the more you become pure, the more you purify yourself, because the more you purify your body and your soul, your emotions and your thoughts, the more you release resistance, you release blockages, your energy meridians become open, and they allow for that energy to flow through without obstacles of the ego, without obstacles of, you know, things that are not virtuous, without obstacles of vices, without obstacles of guilt or shame. So that's why we do the healing and the energy work, etc., so that, you know, we can become pure vessels, open vessels, receptive, conductive, for that energy to flow through, for our powers to awaken properly, and for us to bloom and to blossom. So the difference, again, between speaking light language and gibberish is attunement, it's alignment. When you are aligned with source, when you are attuned to pure consciousness and to source energy, you know that the light that is coming through is real. You know that the light that is coming through, you can feel it in your heart. You just know. That's as simple as that. It's a knowing that happens. It's a feeling that happens. It's this synchronization, this dance between the gut and the heart and the mind, where it's just, a flow is happening, just like a river flows with no dams over there, nothing that's blocking it. And then it just, it just expresses itself freely, spontaneously. Pure energy that may be subtle, that may be powerful, that may be subtle and powerful together. There are paintings that were channeled. There are art forms that were channeled, and they are light language. They are expressions of light. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, The Last Supper, has so much sacred geometry. Different parts of the painting correspond to different musical notes, different sacred geometry shapes. And these were not planned by him. He didn't say that I'm going to put this here because this is going to match a tetrahedron or a sphere or the flower of life. I'm going to put this there because it's going to be equal to some measurement, some dimension of the pyramids. He didn't do that. He channeled the painting through in those exact positions, in those places. This is light language. And because this is channeled, it's very powerful, very potent, has so much information that can be interpreted on so many different levels of existence. And this is why there's sacredness in it, expressed through the paintings and the positions and how they correspond to geometry and music, sound, vibration, form. It's all the same thing. It's just that form is more dense. It's the more dense form of light and of sound. So it is a form of channeling. That's why you see hand movements, you see codes that may be written, you can see full dances, you can hear sounds, you can hear singing. There are so many different forms of light language. So some people may scribble these. I know someone who got in touch with me he's a painter, and he's been scribbling these codes. It's actually code. He's been writing these ever since he was a child, and his paintings are full of them, and he has no idea what they are. And when you look at the paintings, you feel the energy. And then he got in touch, and I said, listen, this is light language. And he's like, oh my God, how come I never knew that? He's been channeling all along, feeling that energy, letting it come out of him, but he has no idea what he's painting. He has no idea what he's writing. He just, their information that's being expressed and is carried in his DNA. And it's just magnificent when you learn, when you're awakening, you're like, oh my God, I've carried this power all along. But no, there was nobody to teach. There was nobody to tell him. So, divine timing is everything. It's amazing. We communicated at the perfect time for him to learn of his powers, and now he embraces them even more. And he probably has more channeling, to do on different levels. So this is about light language, attunement, alignment. Yes, everybody can speak it. Yes, it's the language of the soul. Yes, it would be gibberish. If people who speak it, you can tell it's gibberish when you don't really feel or resonate with it, when something feels off in your body. This is where the importance of you as a receiver, allowing yourself to be and to listen, is important, because you'd be able to immediately tell. Not with your mind, but with your heart. How's it making you feel? Some people want channelers, let's say, to activate their voices and take singing lessons. When you take singing lessons, even if you have a very beautiful voice and you become a great singer, that is not the same as expressing light language. It's not about learning how to hit certain tones and how to go up and down with your voice so that your voice can sound nice and beautiful. That is singing. These are singing lessons that you take in order to perform or in order to participate in an event or to express yourself through the art of singing. But that is not light language. Light language comes from a totally different place of being a channel, being a conduit. So if you sit there and you learn how to sing because you want to say right language in the right way and you want to sing the right way, then that's not spontaneous. That is learned, that is calculated, and that is something that you're studying. So you're placing a box. Many people who sing these codes, don't necessarily hit the right notes, but what you feel is the energy, what you feel is the vibration. And that's the difference. So when singers sometimes hear light language, they're judging with their minds. They're analyzing, oh, this note, they could have tuned, they could have sounded better if they said it, if they trained their voice more, etc. That is not the point at all. They're missing the point completely. It's all about the energy, the frequency that you feel. And then you see the results when you tap into the frequency and you allow it to flow through you as a receiver. You will experience the results much faster than sitting there and trying to understand and analyze. And sometimes it can be challenging for people who are very mental oriented. So that's why when you're very mental oriented, when you're a very mental kind of person in terms of the way you function, it's all on a mental, intellectual level, you have to start practicing tapping into your heart and being in the present moment. And with some practice, you teach your brain how to tap into a different frequency from the regular beta into frequencies that have to do with more alignment of the heart, that enable you to flow, enable you to receive without judgment, without fear, enable you to channel maybe, by yourself, and be able to express yourself more and be more open to the energies and the downloads that come through. So remember that your body and your brain is like an antenna. Your pineal gland carries these crystals. When you meditate, these crystals start moving, and then they start, they start connecting with different frequencies. They start channeling and receiving different frequencies. Your whole body is actually like an antenna. We receive just as much as we emit. And therefore, when you are channeling, you are allowing yourself to be a stronger antenna. You're allowing yourself to receive. That's why you start receiving messages from the cosmos, from different galaxies, from different constellations, different star systems. And then as you open up more and more, you start receiving from the angelic realm, you start expressing through the angelic realm. We are all one at the end of the day. This is all an expression and an interpretation and a proof of our oneness. The law of one, you and me are one and the same. We're just different expressions of source energy, but we are connected, and that connection cannot be broken by anything. It's there no matter what. Quantum physics already proves that, has proven that in so many different experiments. So this is what I had for you today about light language. This is how light language is interpreted. This is what it really is all about. If you have any further questions, please leave them in the comments below. Remember that the heart is the key, and this is why I focus in my online program on the heart, on opening the heart, along with mastering your thoughts, your emotions. You will also find some light language in there for you to attract the perfect or the most desired reality. So these are codes that I've included to help you manifest the best reality and shift to the best timeline. Oh, there's also, of course, mastering your feelings, mastering your emotional body to the best of your abilities, and to help you to overcome any obstacles that have been imposed upon you or that you've experienced from childhood, to do the inner child healing, do the necessary energy healing, the physical healing, etc. Get those out of the way so that your powers can come through and your powers can show through, and you can start to use them in your daily life. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Please let me know if you have any questions. To learn more about heart alignment and how you can tap into your powers through self-mastery and alignment, get in touch so that I send you the link for your free frequency call, so that you get a glimpse into it and you experience it for yourself. You literally do. And then we take it from there. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday and a beautiful week ahead. And I'll see you the coming week. Take care.